traffic control, you're cleared for takeoff.
Flight attendants, prepare for takeoff, please.
Hello everyone, this is Emerald Isle International here. Welcome to this brand new aviation channel. I've just made it literally yesterday. And yeah, I've been waiting to introduce you guys to my model airport. That is pretty much right next to my gaming setup. As you can see, things are a bit crowded in my room at the moment, but on these tables, across basically one, which I've done very well to fit, is a 1 to 400 scale model airport. I guess a little bit about myself. My name is Jack. I'm Irish, if you can't tell by the accent. And I've been collecting die-cast models for 10 years. Since about 2015, 2016, I collected my first model, which was actually, I'm going to zoom in on him there, was this Delta A330. But we'll get to him later on in the video. So I guess this airport started out as, this isn't the first mat that I've had for this airport. I've had one before that was just on paper. It really did go through the wars, I have to say. And the terminal layout was just the one terminal. I had a cargo section that was around here, somewhere around here even, and then just the one terminal. I then decided to get a second terminal, and when I got an Apple Watch, that does not make me sound rich, please. I got that as a Christmas gift. I got that, I used the box as a second terminal. As you can clearly tell, it's pretty badly done, but it works, and it works perfectly. So, and then over the years, then I expanded to a second terminal because I was ordering more aircraft. I needed a place to put them. I needed more gates. Currently, we have about, I want to count it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 gates. 3 airside gates over there, 2 cargo gates, and 1 special service gate. You can see there for the C-17 or private aircraft that will park there as well in case it's ever available. It's got 1 taxiway, as you can see, 1 control tower. That's a whole separate display thing, and it's got 1 runway 08 right, or if you want to use aircraft terms, 08 Romeo. This airport used to be US based, so when I first had it, I based it off in between, locationally it was, or geographically it was located between Newark and JFK, in kind of that area, and it served as a mainly the US domestic hub, providing international flights from the US to Europe, and then some international flights to Europe as well. As I've gotten older, and as more European airlines like Aer Lingus over there have become available to purchase, I've now transitioned to trying to replicate the airport like Dublin Airport, which is Ireland's national airport, major hub, I suppose. And a lot of the routes here will be based off, most of them, I do aim to try and have them realistic. Obviously, I do have a lot of US domestic carriers like this Delta here and this Alaska. Obviously, they cannot go from Dublin to the States realistically, so there are fictional routes. So just for future updates, for reference, if you do see these in the update and you're thinking, hang on, that's not realistic, they are on fictional routes, which basically means this airport could be geographically located anywhere. For those that are servicing realistic routes, then they are doing realistic routes if they were going from Dublin. Like Air New Zealand, for example, doesn't fly out of Dublin, but for fictional purposes, and I have the aircraft, it's actually a rare aircraft, I make use of it. My collection, I guess I have around 37 models as of a new order arriving earlier in the week. Close to 40. I have what's on this mat here, as you can see, and then down below I've got more models in here and down below, and then just over here I've got more models down up over here, and then I've got models here as well, with of course Gorilla Glue, because these models do tend to break. Anyway, obviously then in terms of my aircraft, I have the various airlines, both cargo and commercial. My most popular airline is Delta. I have about, if I can count in my head, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got 6 Delta fleet in my collection, and that's the most I have of one airline. I've added 2 more to my Aer Lingus fleet of collection. I have 3 now, and then I have some recent new additions. I have 3 American models, apologies, and 3 British Airways models. So I've gotten a few of each airline, and then I've got one of just one airline because it's hard to get more and it's costly. But yeah, we're 6 minutes in, so I guess I'll start telling you what serves where. So kind of European destinations serve this terminal. As you can see, BA and Aer Lingus are there. That Aer Lingus mainly goes to the States. That Lufthansa will go to Singapore via Munich. Those planes over there, like Aegean and that Aer Lingus as well, service European destinations and the UK, like London. Aegean obviously serving Greece. In this terminal then you just have the US kind of like domestic carriers serving those fictional routes that I mentioned at the start of the video. You know, servicing Washington, Houston, that kind of story. And then we have the US terminal, where all US airlines come in, so like American, Delta, United, I suppose that's pretty much it that come in here. And Southwest as well. I do have Southwest. And then over there we've got Air France, Thomson, and Jet2 in our C-section area over there, our airside gates that are just a quick bus journey away from the terminal. So let's get cracking, I suppose, with the update. So in Terminal 1, in Gate 1, I suppose you can call it, is the Aegean Airbus A321neo, which has just arrived this week. It's part of the new models that I received, and it's got service to Athens, daily service to Athens. It's not waiting on any bags at the moment. It's getting documents filed and getting passengers boarded for that flight out to Athens. Then if you can just see here, camera quality is actually pretty good today, which I'm surprised. We've got an Aer Lingus Airbus A320-200 with service to London Heathrow. It's getting some bags loaded on, some fuel, and that'll be a fairly short enough flight, about an hour or 50 minutes across the Atlantic Ocean. And then in the wide body gauge, this terminal has one wide body gauge, and it serves the likes of Emirates in terms of its A380 that comes here, because they don't have the 777. And we got British Airways who serve their A380 and their A350 through this, also with the likes of KLM as well, etc. Thomson have all got access to these gates when obviously it's not being occupied, and this one as well. But yeah, this Lufthansa is getting heavily loaded up, as you can see, for a flight to Singapore via Munich. Lufthansa does go to Munich from Dublin on their A220s. I couldn't get one, so I'm using their A350 as a double route service, which means they'll stop in Munich, let passengers off there who are going to Munich, and then get the passengers that are going to Singapore onwards. So it's an exciting route. It's fictional, borderline realistic. And then on the taxiway, we have a fictional route where we have an American A320-200 with service to Chicago O'Hare. So it is fictional. This would not make it across the Atlantic unless it was for like the A318, where it was all business class and heavier fuel loads. Fictional route to Chicago O'Hare. And then in gate 4, or gate Alpha 4, yeah, we have the Aer Lingus Airbus A330-300 in the new livery, which is introduced in 2019. That is being serviced for Boston in the US. It's getting bags loaded on and it's getting cargo while catering as well. And the tow truck is waiting to get it going. So that will really be departing shortly. And then just right next to it, just actually arrived in, we have an Aer Lingus Airbus A320-200 in the Irish rugby team livery. The official partner of the Irish rugby team is Aer Lingus. And he just arrived in from Malaga, Costa del Sol in Spain. So as you can see, he's getting passengers unloaded. He'll be getting bags unloaded off the aircraft as well momentarily. Then on the taxiway, I'll zoom out a bit just to capture him in frame. We have an Air New Zealand 787-9 in from Auckland, and he's got direct daily service to Auckland as well in New Zealand. Now again, this is a fictional route. You cannot possibly go from Dublin to Auckland directly unless you make some stops. So I'm going to say, to try and keep it borderline realistic, this Air New Zealand will stop off in Dubai and then go on to Auckland from there. So it's got a long journey ahead and it's making its way to runway 08 right. Then we come to what is basically Terminal 3, the smaller terminal. We have a British Airways Airbus A321 Neo, and that has service out to Amsterdam in the Netherlands, Amsterdam Schiphol. Then we've got this, we've got two fictional routes here. We've got an Alaska Q400 -8 Q400 in the Washington Huskies livery with service to Washington Dulles. And then we've got a Delta CRJ 200 with service to Houston, Texas. Again, both fictional routes on these planes. We make our way over to an empty gate here. This is waiting for the arrival of the United Airlines 787, which will be coming in from Columbus, Ohio. Then we've got the first model that I ever collected, the Delta Airbus A330-300 with service to Atlanta. It's getting catering done, some cargo loaded onto the back and then bags on the front, and it should be departing off fairly shortly. Kind of a model from the past really, that's not really being used that much, I don't think, by American, is their American 757-200 in its most newest livery, I suppose. It's getting some cargo loaded on, some bags loaded at the rear of the aircraft, getting some passengers boarded, and it's heading out to Seattle. And then just over next to it is the Delta A350-900 in the Delta Spirit livery, and that is making a flight out to Los Angeles. Over in the cargo bay then, we have an Atlas Air 747-8 making service to Anchorage. It actually just arrived in from Anchorage in Alaska and will be heading back out there at some point tonight. It's not getting any cargo loaded at the moment, so it's just waiting at the gate. And then over in the far distance, if the camera will lock on, we have a C-17 Globemaster, service of the United States Air Force, in from Jacksonville in the US. It's pretty much just getting military personnel loaded on and getting ready to go out again. It very rarely comes and goes from the airport, but it's a fantastic model to have. The back doors do open, so it makes that realism a lot more possible with this model. I'm going to try and find a way now to get to the furthest section of the airport, and that is the sea gates, I suppose, the airside gates. We have an Air France Embraer ERJ 190, which is getting passengers loaded on via the Cobus 3000 for a flight out to Paris Charles de Gaulle. Just right next to him then we've got a Thomson or TUI 737-8 MAX, which just has arrived in from Tenerife, and passengers are making their way to the airside bus. And then we've got a Jet2 Holidays 737-800, which is boarding for a flight out to Palma de Mallorca. And then just over there behind the Jet2 we have our maintenance area, which is empty at the moment. You can see the maintenance scaffolding, and no one is using that at the moment. So I'm going to see what the best angle I suppose is to wrap up this video, and I guess that is the one. That's actually a really good angle. So yeah, that wraps up the airport update. You will see these models again in the update. I don't have new models for every update. I haven't got that kind of money. But they'll be moved around. They might be on the mat at some points, and they might be in different parking gates. It's just routine. It switches up. It makes the update even better. But there are some models you haven't seen on this, which you'll see in future updates for sure. And there's a new model that I haven't shown in this airport video that I'm going to definitely show in the next one. But yeah, this is a new channel, so do let me know your thoughts on the video. Hopefully you can leave a subscribe, a like, and maybe a comment. Hopefully this is of interest to you if you're passionate about aviation as much as I am. And yeah, hopefully you all fly safe. Have a good day as always, and thank you for tuning in to this airport update. I hope you have enjoyed. Goodbye and stay safe.
Nice.